All right, ladies and dudes, this one's going to be a little bittersweet this week. Give me some rock and roll in honor of Ozzy Osbourne. All right, anybody who's known me for any length of time realizes that I'm a huge Ozzy Osbourne fan. I was actually introduced to Ozzy through this, which will also be our movie of the week, the Osbournes TV show. And I grew up Christian, and was not allowed to listen to Ozzy or Black Sabbath. Okay, by the way, I'm going to be flashing up a bunch of Ozzy pictures over here on the side, just so to through his career. So hopefully it doesn't distract you, but yeah, that's what's going to be happening there. But as you all know, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's around 2003, and he battled it. He had a mild form of it. He battled it, I guess, till his passing. Now, when I initially heard the news, I'm not going to lie, I cried like a baby. I was very upset. My friend Sam Wade texted me. He said, "Did you hear about Ozzy?" And I thought he was talking about the farewell concert. I said, "Yeah, I saw him play." He goes, "No, he died. He passed away." I was like, holy crap, that's all I needed. So I just immediately started to cry. It's weird. We let these people in our house do television and music. We've obviously never met him. I never met him. But we seem to have these relationships with people. And I've been told by people that they let me in their home in a similar way that they let Ozzy. I'll never measure up to Ozzy. But so I knew when he played his last show, he was clearly, he was struggling. And from what I read, I actually read interviews with, I guess, his bandmates, and they said getting into the rehearsal was rough. They said it took two people to get him in and then get him set up in his chair. He didn't talk much. They said at rehearsal he was very quiet, which is unlike Ozzy. And I think maybe that's something I relate to. When I don't feel good, I don't talk much. But when I'm on, I really want to have a good time. And they honestly didn't know if he was going to be able to get through the show. Well, history has been written. He got through the show, and then he passed away 2.5 weeks later at his home in England. It's rough. You think these people are going to be there forever, even though they're old and ill? And he dealt with numerous things besides Parkinson's. That's what I have told my son and other people that ask. I say, you got to realize Ozzy had neck and spinal issues. He had a myriad of different health issues. I can't speak to what he died from because I don't think they've released that information. So I don't want to speculate, but let's just say that there were a lot of culprits that could be. It's probably just a culmination of all the different things. And I was talking to one of my friends, and she said, "I know you're sad, but don't be too sad because he went out on top. He went out like a king." And I thought, yeah, that's true. I mean, all those people paid tribute to him at the concert. Slayer, Metallica, Lizzie Hale, Tom Morello, on and on and on. Like, just so many people came and paid tribute to him. And frankly, I would have been happy if that's all that happened and he came out on stage and said thank you. But he actually performed some of his hits from his solo career, and then he performed some of his songs with Black Sabbath. And he went out like a boss. He went home. I got to tell you, the last footage of him, he looked happy. He was sitting at his kitchen table with a laptop. He didn't look all stressed. He looked very relaxed, just checking out his whatever he's looking on his laptop. And his daughter Kelly says, "Say good morning, Dad." And he looks at the camera, "Good morning." Very clear and very, very Ozzy. There'll never be another Ozzy, and there never could be another Ozzy, and that's the thing. One of his last albums. It was called "Ordinary Man," and the lyric was, "I don't want to die an ordinary man." I'm like, if anybody should ever not worry about that, it'd be Ozzy. But I heard another story too. He was playing a stadium, and he was backstage, and he asked somebody that went out. I think it was Henry Rollins. I think that's who told the story. He said, "Is anybody out there?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm afraid nobody will show up." And he's like, "Ozzy, there's 20 or 30,000 people out there chanting your name." He's like, "I'm always afraid nobody will show up." So he was just a wonderful, complicated, sometimes scary, but ultimately just a loving father and grandfather. It was so nice to see him at his home with his grandkids. So although I'm very sad he's gone, and I wish he could have stayed around forever, his journey's over. He's at peace. I know he was in horrible pain the last few years of his life with all the back surgeries and neck surgeries and what had it going on. So I'm choosing to look at this through the lens of life well lived. If we could all live to 76, have all our friends and co-workers and co-artists have a festival for us where we got to be there, basically kind of like at your own funeral where everybody says how much they love you and how much they cared about you, how much you influenced them. Go back to your home, very nice home I must say, is home in England. Spend your last remaining days and weeks with your grandkids and your kids and your wife. Could be worse endings. So that's kind of where my mind is at. I mean, Parkinson's is kind of like the last thing I'm thinking about at this point, which is why I'm not really talking about it. I mean, Ozzy, you can look into Ozzy's struggle with Parkinson's. It's been pretty well documented, but there are some things coming out in the coming months. By the way, anybody who also knows me, these blue glasses and my T-shirt, straight from influence from Ozzy. Ozzy had the blue glasses. I think everybody already knows that by now. But there's a couple things coming out. There's more than a couple. There's a book coming out, which I will read. It's called Last Rites, and he knew he was dying, and he just kind of wrote down his thoughts. There's some unearthed Black Sabbath material before they were called Black Sabbath, when they were the band Earth. And there's actually a documentary coming out about his struggle with Parkinson's and all his other health issues in the last few years of his life. So, and then beyond that, they've been playing the old Osbourne show on loop on YouTube, and me and my son and wife been watching it. What a guy, what a life. I was watching this documentary called The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne, and boy did he have 9 lives. Just all the things he accomplished. But, sometimes it's time to say goodbye. Sometimes, the story ends. But I, just like anybody that I loved or cared about, even though I never met him, I keep him in my heart. I think about him all the time. Maybe that's weird, but I do. He's a big influence on me. He came around, his show came around, and I was introduced to his music at a very formative time in my life, and I'm going to miss him. But at the same time, I'm glad he's not in pain anymore. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's all I got. Peace and love from my blockbuster in the currently 99-degree heat in the city of St. Louis.